And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
I have a lot of party games, books. I have one big book in particular, but I have several books that explain different games that you can play, different word games, and I really enjoy them. They're games that I don't know what to do. I used to use them a lot more before I got into the board game world. But I found as I see more and more board games that several of these games actually have been translated to commercial games. For example, Time's Up was actually a game from a book called Celebrities, where you wrote down names, but they made a commercialized product of it. Well, this one's very similar. I've seen this game before, but it's called the Chain Game, which makes me want to sing the name game. But anyway, the Chain Game, in which players are going to be taking cards and making a chain of words out of them. Let me show you, for example. Here's a card that comes with the game, and you have a stack of these cards. And this says Puppet Show. It's two words together. Here we have computer game. But sometimes we'll have a word that's a compound word, like newscast. And so the players get in a group. Each player gets several links of a chain. And one player draws the card and they say, okay, newscast. Now the next person must use part of this compound word, either news or cast, and make their own compound word or group of 2, 3 words if the middle word doesn't matter that much, grouping. So for example, if you say newscast, I could say newspaper. Then the next person could say paper mill, or they could say newsroom. And if they did say newsroom, the next person could say game room, or room and board. And then the next person might say board game, and then there's just different things that you can say. And you keep going until somebody can't think of something to say. One person's a judge, and when that happens, they blow this horn. Now, you notice mine's not working. It's broken. And it's not really that useful. I guess you could just say beep for the game. But I suppose the horn's there kind of as a neat function, sort of like the buzzer in Taboo. Maybe I'll stick this in the chain game. It seems to work pretty well. But basically, you're just going to go around the table until someone messes up, until someone can't say words that match up. Let me show you a couple example games of how this works, and you can see, these are with my students, you can see basically how it goes around the table.
Wine bottle.
Wine bar.
Salad bar.
Salad dressing.
Dressing room.
Game room.
Game room. Online game.
Beep.
Beep.
Traffic jam.
Jam jar. It works.
Honey jar.
Peanut butter jar. That's 3 words.
Now, after watching those, you may think, well, that one word he said at that one point didn't seem like a word. Well, that's going to be up to the players to decide. However, the rule sheet, which, as you can see, is only one piece of paper, does have on the back a list of acceptable word combinations. And they explain things, and it's pretty simplistic. There's even some interesting things you can do. For example, you can use a homonym or a word that sounds the same. For example, if I say polar bear, B-E-A-R, you could say bareback. B-A-R-E, and so that's allowable. You could even switch the words as long as it changes it completely. For example, pancake can be flipped to say cake pan. Those are two different things, and so that's allowable. And there's a few other things that you can do, and you can only say the same word once. So if I say homework, and then the other person says homestay, the next person can't say homework again because homework has already been used in this setting. But it's really simple, and it's really up to the group of players. Sometimes someone's going to say something, and someone's going to say that's not really a word or a common phrase, and then at that point you have to vote yes or no, basically, and see what the group decides. The person who has the horn is the judge, and they're supposed to buzz themselves, and you have to give people an acceptable amount of time, and depending on how good the group is with words would depend on how much time you gave. With adults who are really quick on the ball, maybe 2 or 3 seconds. With kids, we usually let it go on a little bit longer. And sometimes you get into these creative slumps where no one is able to say a word. You'll only go 2, while other times it's really awesome when it will go around the table many, many times before finally somebody slips up. When someone runs out of links, the game is over, and the person with the most links left is the winner. And if there is a tie, then you have kind of a word off to some degree. So, an interesting game. Is it worth getting? Well, it's kind of big. I mean, when you look at the box here, I really think that the horn is unnecessary. I mean, maybe I'm biased because my horn doesn't work, but it doesn't really seem to be necessary. The chain links, that's a good way to keep score in the cards. I don't know. It's up to you. Does what I just say sound like fun? Do you think you could use it, especially in a classroom setting? Then go for it and get it. But it's up to you. I think it's good. I'm just not sure that it's worth the cost.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.